Ain't out my way, about my way. Let's see. You saw Supreme Dream at LeBron.
Man, that man was so happy. Man, I said, I'm so proud of you, B dog.
Man,
I'm happy
so
for you, man.
I like that.
Just let you know, man. Social media changed your life, man.
hmm In the best of ways and the worst of ways. On some
Facts.
folks.
Fact. I know I'm crazy. I about to say, man, I said, who finna play a game? Tripping.
Call out commentary.
hmm
The commentary
I
of
thought
Colox.
thought about doing an NBA YouTube show about that shit, about real stuff. If I had a videographer, I would.
How about these award races, man? I think it's still too early to count them right now. Oh, Win Jones beat Houston. 127, 110. Okay. All
Decent.
right. Okay. We got one tuned in right now. We can actually, let's see, I'll give it 1 minute call up. See
Yeah,
what's
that's cool.
ahead.
It's probably Germany, if I had to guess.
I just solo is disgusting for that, man. I can't wait to talk
Man,
about that.
you know I'm finna go off.
Oh, we got two. I wonder what they got on the real power rankings right now.
Oh, it's terrible because they
Oh
got zero on
yeah.
zero teams up there.
There go J
Mhm,
Rod with the
mhm,
damn. All right, we can go ahead and get started.
mhm.
We got a couple folks watching.
Okay.
More tune in later. All right.
Yeah.
So we got call out commentary, post
Mhm.
week one update, final
Let's
season.
go.
Got a few special things to talk about tonight. Also, I think as we continue to move forward, we'll do a few other things, man, just to kind of spice up this last season. How you doing, Carla?
I'm good, brother. How about yourself, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. So today we're gonna talk power rankings. We're gonna go through the top ten teams in the league. Um, After week one, I think a lot of folks gonna be surprised, and then also trade deadlines open. We had some trades in the queue, and we feel like it's some really big names out there. So we feel like we wanna discuss these trades a little bit, get some insights from Carlock on some of these deals that's on hand.
Woo! These damn deals.
All right. So where we starting at? We starting at power rankings.
Yes,
Number
sir.
10. Number 10.
Okay.
Um so at number 10, we have the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto
Mm-hmm.
Raptors, that's right. A computer team making the top 10 for the first time in my league history. Um
Facts.
we can talk a little bit about this. I'm gonna just run some numbers, and then I'm gonna hand it over to you, Carla.
hmm
Toronto is 7-4 right now. Plays fourth in the East. Um, this team is built pretty well overall. They have Kyrie Lewis, Derek White backcourt, T.J. Warren, Okongwu, Mitchell Robinson. I mean, this team has a lot of front court depth. Damian Collins, Mo Wagner, and then they have Kobe White, Quentin Grimes off the bench as well. This team is deep. They defend well. They have length in the front court. They might be a tough out this year in the playoffs. They have a very well balanced team right now. Carlisle, what's your thoughts on them being 10 and pushing some users out of that top 10?
I honestly think, man, I like the growth of the league. I mean, I think the league is by far the deepest it's been as far as it relates to overall talent. And the Toronto Raptors by far have probably some of the best young talent or overall talent on this game. I mean, I think they have a lot of depth. I mean, seeing the fact that Quinn Grimes is their leading scorer, 17 points off the bench, just says a lot about their defense and their versatility. I mean, once they added Mitchell Robinson, who kind of controls the paint, they got him. He kind of anchors their defense on the front line. But in addition to that, they have, think about it, Okongwu, who's averaging a double-double. They got D. Collins, who's almost averaging another double-double. So you got three Bs on your team who are giving you about 30 rebounds a game just between those three. which is huge. Then they have a veteran in T.J. Warren who plays well, and Kerry Lewis Jr. I mean, they gave him that extension. He's playing well. Point productivity is slightly down from last year, but his overall ability to control the game and dictate pace, he shot, increased that three ball. He's shooting 39% from three this season. And, he's just playing at a very good pace. And, so they're kind of playing inside out. Mo Wagner was a guy they added. He averaged about 17 points a game. So they have everything you kind of need from positions. They're kind of just balanced across the board, and they just got a lot of depth. And shout out to Masai Ujiri for putting his team together. But to your point, as far as pushing some users out, it just lets me know that a lot of users they complain about power rankings, but the reality of it is, if you struggling against the computer, then shit, you don't deserve to be in the top 10, let alone the right to complain about a power ranking. Be powerful, and then you have a better ranking. So shout out to the Toronto Raptors for being fourth in the East.
Be powerful and you'll have a ranking. I like that one. That's a good quote. So number 10, Toronto Raptors. Number 10. Yes, all right, so number 9. Who we got at number 9? Carl?
Man, number 9, I got to rock with these Phoenix Suns, man. Shout out to these Phoenix Suns, man. Seriously. I mean, granted, at this point, they only played, they 3-2. But, 2 big wins, 2 big user wins, man, which matters. Beat the New Orleans Pelicans, 129 to 113. Also beat Chicago Bulls, even having AD and Jokic, and we'll talk about that later. Beat them 125 to 81. Kind of got their bearings early on in the season against, Dallas and Utah. But both teams are, right there. You got Dallas and Utah who are 6 and 7 seed respectively, and Utah is trying to chase those guys. But overall, as far as user, he's showing some nice little signs coming on to here. So shout out to the Phoenix Suns. I think that they have a good team. I think they've definitely grown some this year with the, Jalen Green is probably at a really good pace right now. I think he's kind of really got his bearings. Aiden's playing good, average about, 19 to 16 boards. Jalen Green is, a top leading scorer in the league with 31 points a game. And, and of course, Mikal Bridges is now, around 12 points a game. He's playing a little better. But, they added Dante DiVincenzo. DeAndre Hunter is still back. I like their point guard productivity and Bryce Griggs. So, he has a bigger role this year, almost tripling his point productivity from last season. And also, shooting 26% from three last year to 42% this season. So, I like what they build in there, man. So it'll be interesting to see how they play throughout the rest of the playoffs. So, I got to he deserved that spot, number 9. What about you? What you think?
I liked everything you said, especially with Jalen Green. He's averaging 31 a game. Show constant improvement each year. Jump shot still shaky, but overall, his barrel game is immaculate.
BG.
So as long as he got that in his game, he's in good shape. I like and I got to give him credit because I don't think we gave him a great offseason grade because he didn't really have a lot of activity. He did make the in-season trade for DiVincenzo for Marcus Smart. Which I like. DiVincenzo's a better offensive threat for him, which is something I think, he needed. He had plenty of defenders on the team as is, and DeAndre Hunter, he had, Mikal Bridges. He had guys that could go out there and defend, so I feel like Smart really wasn't as big as need. He still has some issues at power forward, I think. Jalen Smith did come in, and he's played decent, this year. 56% from the field, 42% from three. But I think that's going to remain to be seen going into the playoffs. He still has Aaron Gordon, who's kind of led on the bench role this year. But I do like Phoenix right now. They win over Chicago, holding in Chicago 80 and Jokic to 81 points with Boston at 6, and that's big time. Man, he beat the Pelicans also 129-113. So those are 2 pretty much key wins to me. Although he did drop some tough games, but the games he dropped to Utah and Mavs, these 2 computer teams ain't no joke. These are pretty good computer squads right now, just considering their records. Utah is 9 and 7, Dallas 8 and 5. So these are 2 West teams who are in the playoff picture right now. So give Phoenix credit.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay, cool. Now nitty gritty.
Now we get into the nitty gritty. The top eight. Top eight. We already know it's been one computer team in the top 10, so we already know some users outside this top 10.
Hmm.
So number eight. This is where things may get a little different. Call out. Got to figure out
Hmm.
what
I
we
know who
really
I
think.
got. I don't know what you got. I'm gonna see what you got. We're gonna see how we ranking these. Let's go.
All right, number eight. I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay.
I'm going with the Cleveland Cavaliers at number eight right now.
Okay.
Um, I think, I mean, Cleveland right now, they're playing really well right now. And we always
Hmm.
had the questions with Cleveland coming to the playoffs, but right now this team is 8-1. Um, let's see, their only loss was they lost to the Knicks. That's who they lost to. They beat
Hmm.
Orlando, which was their only other user game. So it'll remain to be seen
Hmm.
how they fare in these next few user games that's going to be coming up for them. But this team
Hmm.
traded away Jimmy Butler, which I
Hmm.
had questioned, and they brought in more
Hmm.
shooting with Buddy Hield, also Duncan Robinson as well. And these guys have been
Hmm.
performing well. Buddy Hield shooting 45% from three. He ain't shot that well since the Seattle days. So
Hmm.
seemed like he got his shot down right now, but he's playing really well. D'Lo's
Yes,
averaging
sir.
27 a game,
Hmm.
45% from three. Otto Porter's been a key addition for him as well, shooting 47% from three. He's now
Hmm.
starring Garuba, which felt like it's a good
Hmm.
move as well for him. Garuba had a good
Hmm.
playoff series a while back against the Knicks. And he
Hmm.
also has Robert Williams at the five. So bench is still well too. You got Terry Rozier, Duncan, Christian Wood. It's a deep team. I think this is one of the teams that with a league right now, the league is kind of lacking depth on certain teams. So being a team that has depth is a pretty big advantage right now. So I got Cleveland
Hmm.
in my number eight spot. What about you, Cole?
Well, I guess we ain't too far, cause that's why I had it at number eight as well. For a lot of the same reasons that you had. I mean, I think the thing about it is they're kind of more have the wing position is more by committee, and
Hmm.
versus Jimmy Butler was, having the star and playing around him. So I think they kind of really focused on spacing and letting D'Lo kind of become the shot creator to kind of get other guys involved. And I mean, D'Lo is honestly thriving in that role, averaging a career high 14 assists per game right now. But also he's showing a lot of signs defensively because he's averaging about 3 steals a game as well. And so shout out to D'Angelo Russell having a career year for him this year in Cleveland. And of course, Terry Rozier's averaging a double double off the bench, who's also having a career year. So it's good to see how the point guards are, the way they're using their guards. They're, like you said, Buddy Hield increasing their 3-point percentage, Duncan Robinson being the guy, who knows that you always got to be respectable and respecting them from the 3-point percentage. But in addition to that, having these bigs in the front court with Christian Wood and Garuba and Robert Williams, who they added in the offseason for Jimmy Butler, I mean, they got some dogs, So I got much respect for what they're doing. I just think they still need to see exactly, they don't really have that other go-to guy outside D'Angelo Russell. So they kind of run a lot of sets, a lot of plays, but their threat from 3-point range is real. But we'll kind of see how things play out for them going forward. But right now, I definitely got them they're in the right spot right now, for sure.
Okay, okay, sounds good. So we got Cleveland at eight. So that's the Raptors 10, um, Phoenix at nine, and Cleveland eight. Cleveland eight. All right. So number seven. Number seven. All right. So since I did first on eight, who's your number seven, Carlo?
All right, man. So for number seven, somebody finna be mad. But number seven, I have the New Orleans Pelicans. I don't know who you got. We're gonna talk about who you got, but I got New Orleans number seven. Uh, New Orleans, we know they've had a lot of changes over the past few seasons since winning the championship in year
Hmm.
one. So we've seen Brandon Ingram, Steven Adams, Porzingis, man, Eric Bledsoe. I mean, it's been a plethora of guys who I thought, were key pieces to their playoff runs. And then, of course, they've kind of been trying to figure it out since year one. And that's fine. Teams always kind of, trying to make things better. You want to make moves to improve. However, this year has kind of reared its ugly head because the franchise player, as we know it, is on the trade block in and Zion Williamson, which is something none of us really expected. Um, and the thing about it is, this is a guy who's coming off a 55-point game, but a 55-point game and a loss against the San Antonio Spurs. And I think that's one thing they've been trying to find this year is chemistry. Kyrie Irving being the elder statesman on this team at 33 years old, but this team overall, they have 5 guys on the team, 33, 7 guys total over the age of 30, with Kendrick Nunn being 8th at 29, who turns 30 this season. So they don't really have a lot of youth on this team. They're kind of trying to, have this veteran savvy, so to speak, and kind of play the two-man game with Kyrie and Zion. But they're on two different mentalities. Kyrie's kind of at the tail end of his career. Zion is just not coming to this peak. And it's kind of showing on the court as far as the lack of chemistry. We look at the 4 losses that they had on this season. I mean, you look at it, they lost to the New York Knicks, who themselves is also kind of have a roster turnover by getting rid of Kawhi and Steph, and probably one of the youngest teams in the league, and was able to beat the New Orleans Pelicans. The Phoenix Suns, who we talked about, who's kind of on the uptick this season, also was a team that beat them handily this season. The San Antonio Spurs, who they were leading that game most of the way, but San Antonio Spurs being the defensive scrappy team they was, even Zion did drop 55, they still pulled off and won that game in overtime. And of course, they also lost to the Seattle Supersonics, a team that's, kind of passed them over the past couple of seasons in playoff success and overall roster construction. So those are, 3 of those 4 teams are teams that are coming for your spot or that you're trying to catch up to. So it's like, to do that and know that the turmoil they have with Zion Williamson, I can't, put them ahead of some of these other teams that we have yet to name. And I just think, they got a lot of decisions to make in New Orleans. But Zion being on the trade block is probably the worst decision that they're making, but we'll get to that later as well. Continue. That's my take.
Okay. I battle between 2 teams.
Okay.
But I'm gonna have to go with the Charlotte Hornets. I'm going with the Charlotte Hornets at 7. They're my 7.
Okay.
So with Charlotte, they're 10-2 right now. They're 10-2. They made some big offseason acquisitions, bringing Cat in, which is the biggest. They also they re-signed Klay Thompson. They re-signed LaMelo. They kept majority of their, top 4 or 5 guys or so. While adding Cat, they have Shake Milton, Fournier. But what I'm seeing out this team right now is they still have, it's the same thing we've seen the last few years where they have length, at every position. But that 4th spot is still weak, and it's actually weaker now than what it's been in the past. Chris Boucher used to handle this 4th spot. And I just thought he was a, better prospect or better player overall than what he has today in Zach Collins.
Okay.
Zach Collins, he's, he has Silver Intimidator, but he doesn't necessarily offer anything else. He can't shoot that well. If you look at what he shot from 3 so far, he is 0 for 18. He's 0 from 18 from 3 this year. And I just feel like from the games I saw, he lost to that Pelicans team that we just talked about not too long ago. This is a team, and this is no shot at the Pelicans, obviously, because I don't have them low or nothing. They're low, but at the end of the day, that Pelicans team's been going through some struggles, and they still lost to their team, given this essential size advantage they're supposed to have at the 4 and the 5 with Cat and Collins. And then, of course, I did watch that Spurs game, and John Collins put up 37 on that front court. So I think that front court's defense is the weakest spot right now. And in my league, that's one thing you can't have. You can't have a weak defensive front court. Even if your back court may be weak defense, you can't have a weak defensive front court. And I think that's one of the Hornets' biggest weakness right now. So I got them in my 7. In my 7 right now. Yep, in my 7. So,
Okay.
all right.
Uh,
So,
that's a good analysis.
any
It's
any
your
other
turn
thoughts
now.
on it? Okay. So,
No, I don't. I mean, I between. I mean, I think
oh, it's
that
my.
was a hell of a take.
All right. So,
That was-
so, all right. So I got six. I'll go with six. So my six
okay.
is New Orleans. I got New Orleans as
Okay.
my six. Um, New Orleans right now, they got Kyrie Irving, they got Zion, who we've already talked about being on the trade block and potentially being in trades right now. Um, I do think by moving Zion, I honestly think this will push them backwards.
Hmm.
And I honestly think Zion is not the problem. It's more so of who's around Zion. Um, and this is kind of what's keeping them from going from six to maybe top five right now. This team
Hmm.
is 12-4, went well over their game minimum so far. Will be
Hmm.
a double strike, but since it's the last season, I'm giving
Grace
BSB
and
some
mercy.
leeway. He's a veteran in the game, so I understand.
Yeah.
But those losses to Phoenix, the loss to Phoenix was a tough loss. They did lose to San Antonio when Zion did put up 55. They also lost to a young Knicks team, as you mentioned, Carlock, which was,
Hmm.
then they lost to the Supersonics. So they lost to a lot of key veteran players outside of Phoenix, who hasn't necessarily, been on the league too long.
Hmm.
But this team has played way more games than anybody else, so they've had more time to figure things out. So it is kind of
Hmm.
concerning to see them drop some of these games that they have been losing, and I feel like that's because they're heavily relying so much on Kyrie and Zion. Um, when guys like they have Dunn McDermott, who's a great shooter, but um, he's just a tough guy to have as your starting three right now. When you feel like you're undersized at the four, you know, and then
Hmm.
you have a guy like Hayes, who's been good at the five for him. He's well, actually, I thought he's been good. He's actually not been. He having
No.
four and
Mm-mm.
6.5
Yeah.
rebounds a game. I guess I was looking
Yeah.
at last season numbers on
Yeah.
Jackson
Yeah. He's
Hayes,
just taking a step back. He's
but
taking a step back for sure.
Kendrick Nunn is a good pickup for him. I do like the Kendrick Nunn pickup. I do like Javante Taylor. I talked a lot about him after the off season. And then Harrison Ingram too, the key pickup from last year in the first round for him.
Hmm.
So I think this team, and they do have other sides on the bench. They got Myers Leonard. They got Ketnang. They have
Hmm.
Dylan Anderson. So they have guys they can throw in, and defend when needed. I played them last year, and Dylan Anderson was key. Javante Taylor
Hmm.
should be key this year, being 6'10" on the wing. Um, so I got them as my seven. But I do feel like that could change if Zion is moved. Just because I feel like
Hmm.
it's just some other things I think this team could have done, maybe, and they probably would have been in a better position, and Zion would have been more of Zion's lapses that some would occur against bigger players probably would have been an afterthought, honestly.
Hmm.
Um, so they're my number 16 right now. Who you got at six,
Okay.
Philip?
Uh, Good take. Okay. So right now we're playing musical chairs because I do have the Charlotte Hornets as number six
Okay.
on my team. I mean on my list, and the reason why I do that because for one, I know one thing about this game is defense, and I think the thing about it is with this team they have perimeter defenders on their team who are not rotation players, and then the key rotation players they have aren't good defenders. So I think that's a situation to where Klay Thompson is 35 years old. He's not the defensive stopper he once was. Lateral quickness has taken a dip tremendously. Because I mean, 68 speed, 69 acceleration. I mean, and it's just the fact that he just moves extremely slow. So he's more of a three at this point. I mean, and he doesn't dribble the ball out. He's literally just more so. Even though this has always been his staple, but he's literally 100% catch and shooting. He's shooting the lowest he shot in his career, only averaging 15 points, which is a career low since his rookie season, and also shooting only 42% from three, which is last year he shot 53%. The year before that he shot 57%. So to kind of take a step back from that standpoint, it's kind of like tough. But it's really like LaMelo. as always. But having implement a guy like Cat is tough because Cat is a guy who you know for a fact what he can give you offensively, but he's never been a good post defender, as you to your point earlier. And they're trying to play power forward by committee, and I think the thing about it is they got so focused on size, but they didn't focus on skill. So to have Zach Collins, you draft Ryan Bewley, you sign Dragan Bender, Kai Jones, who is more like a 3 as far as his frame and build is than a 4. So you can't play him a lot of minutes at power forward because his inability to rebound and box out and be strong, depending on the matchup. And Luke Kornet is, I'm not even going to waste my time and talk about Luke Kornet. I mean, it says that's enough. I mean, he had him a couple of years ago and brought him back for whatever reason. But so like you said, it's a lot of different things that they have, but from a rebounding standpoint, it's all Cat. No one else is a good rebounder on their team. So about having second chance opportunities when he's not in the game, you have nobody like when they had Azubuike last year, who you know for a fact, playing Azubuike, playing Jonas Valanciunas, those type of guys, those were bruisers who could get you second chance opportunities 100% of the time. But when they was in the game, one came out, you had to deal with the other one. So now it's like, you'll see a heavy dose. I think this roster is now more top heavy than what they've been in years past, because I think the second half, those 7 to 10 range are really kind of, okay. You got, Cat Ball, McDaniels, Graham, Shake, and Clay, and then after that it's just guys.
Yeah.
So that's why I can't really put them ahead of anybody right now. I'll let them crack the top 5. I know they'll be probably pretty decent in the playoffs, but we'll just see how. It's not what you do when you make it to the playoffs, what you do when you get there. So we'll see how that goes this year.
Okay, I like that. Okay, number 5. Now we in the top 5, man. We in the top 5. We have. Let's see. We have 5 West teams. No, 4 West teams. And this, still out there. And then we also have the number 1 team right now in the East. So it's gonna be interesting to see who you got at your 5. Call up.
It's my going. Yeah. I have the New York Knicks at number 5.
Okay.
The reason why I have New York Knicks at number 5 is, at the end of the day, one of the youngest teams in the league, if you can pull them up. And then you look at it as far as they have, 3 guys over 30, but you still got LeBron James. You got Bronny James at 19, Mikey Williams at 21, Baji at 22, Jalen Green at 24. And those 4 guys are all starters for this team. So it's a very young team, with Porzingis being the elder statesman at 29 in their starting lineup. So they have a lot of young, inexperience in their starting lineup, but they kind of try to complement it with the bench with having guys like Kevin Huerter, Kevin Gelly, Jalen McDaniels, Kemba, these guys, Matt Thomas, who's a former champion, and try to complement their second unit to kind of make them more interchangeable. But the reason why I have these guys 5, like I said, not only but from inexperience, but as far as not really having that go-to guy they've had in years past with Kawhi and, Devin Booker, Steph, they've kind of had those 3 in some capacity. Devin Booker and Kawhi for, about 3 years running consecutively, and then tried it out with Steph. But, they decided to rebuild. And rebuilding does not always equal success. So right now, we're more so of a retool. And it so far seemed to be pretty successful. You've seen, a couple of good user wins against the Cavs and the Pelicans, as we discussed earlier. But 2 losses by 1 possession to the Atlanta Hawks and to the Milwaukee Bucks. But that's their inexperience, like not knowing who to close with, trying to figure out those guys, and but also the points allowed. I mean, the team is kind of struggling defensively. Kawhi was always the anchor of that. So as far as just points spread, there's still a good point differential, but teams are putting up almost 120 points a game on the Knicks. So it's one of those things to where more it's like the guys are trying to play the up tempo and outscore guys, but getting those key defensive stops has kind of been sporadic so far. It's getting better as the season goes along, but it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we've seen a few lineup changes. Baji was starting, Nurkic has started, McDaniels has started, Bronny has came off the bench. So it's kind of Kemba has been in and out the rotation. So just trying to figure things out. And kind of figure out what they do. So it's a lot of uncertainty early on. So I think they're kind of getting their bearings. So right now I just have to leave them at 5.
Okay. I agree. I got the Knicks at 5 too.
Okay.
Not too much needs to be said additionally. I do think, this team is going through a big turnaround, moving away from Kawhi and Steph and bringing in Mikey Williams and LeBron James Jr. But I think they filled out their team with solid depth, and they also brought KP back. So ain't no disagreement there. That's the first agreement since what, 9 or 8?
Yeah, 8.
Okay. So for
And
Knicks
I
at
know I was gonna
5,
be all wrong.
Knicks at 5. So now we got the top four. The top four. Out here we got the Sonics, Nuggets, Spurs, Grizzlies. Sonics, Nuggets, Spurs, Grizzlies. These teams have been a lot of battles. Number 4, I guess it's my turn, ain't it? Okay. Number 4. Number 4. Right now, at number 4, I got the Supersonics.
Okay.
I got the Seattle Supersonics at number 4.
Damn.
I think Seattle number 4 is one of my rivals listed on the page right there. New Orleans and Memphis. But this Seattle team, man, of course is a great team. Trae Young, led by Trae Young, Jaylen Brown backcourt. Was able to bring Jaylen Brown back on a max deal, $200 million plus. Also still have Karen Reddish. But I think we're kind of, and they also added Victorious Miller, who was the number 4 pick in the last year's draft, and right now he's averaging 20 a game, 64% from the field, 51% from 3, 6'7" guy. That just adds an additional score for him off the bench. He's been some solid games this year, and that was their issue last year, their depth, obviously. So good to see they've added also Monty Morris, who's been a key pickup for him at the backup point spot. That's another solid shooter for him off the bench. But I think where this team, reason why I have them at 4 right now is because I think their front court is worse than the front court of the other 3 teams left. And not saying worse in a way where it's a bad front court, but it's Wendell Carter, Miles Turner. Sure they got, they're pretty good defensively, but I think where they struggle the most is their offensive abilities. I think they don't have enough offensive firepower in their front court to contend with guys like, Victor, Bobo, John Collins, Evan Mobley, Jaren Jackson, James Wiseman. Those are, all 6 of those players have been in some form all NBA or could potentially be all NBA. So I just think right now, if you have to look at all these 4 teams in a whole, I think you got, Trae and Jaylen Brown is a good ass backcourt. Probably top 2, top 3 backcourt definitely in the league right now. But I think this front court is not giving them enough outside of Cam Reddish. And that's might be the difference in a series, against Nuggets or Spurs or Grizzlies. So I got Seattle as my number 4 right now.
Okay. All right. Good take. Once again, we disagree. I have the Denver Nuggets at number 4. And I'm gonna tell you my reason, and it's the exact opposite of the reasons that you showed. I think that for the Denver Nuggets, their detriment is that they're so dependent on their front court and they have a very weak perimeter game. I look at what the Denver Nuggets have. They are playing shooting guard by committee for the most part. You look at it, you got Jerome Robinson, Caleb Martin, Bogdanovic, and Gustavo Rivera, who's not even has seen a minute this year, 2nd round pick. But you have Dylan Windler, who's a really solid guy, but it's like Jamal Murray is still the shot creator. And I do like Emmanuel Quickly. I am a fan of Quickly. But one thing about, you talk about size in the front court, I can't dismiss size in the back court. Because at the same time, having Jamal Murray, we've seen lineups where Jamal Murray and Quickly against the Charlotte Hornets, in which they suffered a loss to, trying to finish the lineup with Murray, Quickly, Isaac, who doesn't give you anything offensively, Bol and Obi Toppin, and which means you want to have more quickness and athleticism, but you also go away from being able to score on the post, because these bigs are more face-up bigs, they're not physical. So if even though they're shooting well, they're translating to a user series, which means a lot in this game. So, I mean, granted, Obi Toppin, 18 points a game, shooting amazing. Bobo, 22. Victor, 17. Windler, 25. I mean, he got some scores. However, I think in a situation where you play a good defensive team and they take away your perimeter scoring, and then you result back to barreling because those open shots are falling, who can get you a bucket? And we've seen in type games where Jamal Murray can, turn it on, and that's fine. I mean, they have a young team. I mean, I don't think they have they don't have really a rotation guy over 30 outside of maybe Tarian Prince, who gets spots a minute. So this is a very young team, and I got respect for them. I do. I mean, which is why they're in the top 4 for sure. However, I just think that they're sometimes depend so much on the size portion, and then you got guys like Jonathan Isaac, who can be great defensively, but somewhat unplayable a lot of times offensively in certain sets, unless you just have an elite perimeter scorer who they're trying to stop. But a team against a team like the Spurs, who got swept against last year, when they could have balanced scoring and when they have an amazing defensive attack, how will your team respond when they take away your bigs? So that's just my take on it. So that's why I got the Denver Nuggets.
Okay, so I had Sonics at 4. Carlisle got Nuggets at 4. Okay. So that means we know we definitely got something different at 3, 2, or 1, 2. So, all right. So number 3 for me is the Denver Nuggets. That's my number 3. I understand some of the concerns that you got with Denver, and I agree, especially with being heavily relying on their front court scoring. I think the one thing that's helping Denver compared to last year is they have more shooters, and they have they have a little bit more depth than they did last year, although their backcourt defense isn't necessarily that great with Murray and Windler. But they also have, Quickly coming off the bench. Griffin, you talked about Toppin. Those guys are all, let's see, all these guys are average, like Toppin's averaging 18, Quickly averaging 15. I thought Griffin was at first playing a little bit more, but Griffin not doing it. But Windler's averaging 25 a game, 57% from 3. I do agree. I think that's where he's going to have to figure out what his biggest need is going to be in a playoff series with that backcourt defense. But I think Victor and Bobo have improved over time. Isaac is going to be a tough out just defensively alone. And I think, if you see him in a series against Seattle, I can see it going either way. But I think, we're going to have to figure out whether or not who's going to provide the biggest mismatch. Is it going to be Seattle's backcourt against that Denver backcourt, or is it going to be Denver's front court versus Seattle front court? Overall, I mean, I think Denver improved a lot from a depth perspective. I do see the concerns in the backcourt defensively, but I think that front court, along with Murray, is good enough to come out the West if needed. Plus the bench depth.
Yeah, I got much respect. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, I think it's the best thing the Denver Nuggets has had, though.
Yeah.
No disrespect. Yeah, I definitely think it's the best thing they had. So, I mean, I know this is a team that likes to run a lot of sets, so it'd be interesting to see. So, okay, that's a good take. So, of course, My number 3, I have the Seattle Supersonics.
Okay.
And the reason why I got Seattle number 3 is a situation to where Seattle, we know, I understand the concerns as far as the front court. How the boy Keith just sent me an invite. I'm in mid-show. Psycho. Uh, but I think they're a guy who, Mike is one thing we've always seen Mike do well, and that's utilize his bigs. Granted, I still think this isn't the best front court at all, but one thing that he has on the perimeter we just talked about, you know, you got a shooting Monty Morris, another shooting Trae Young, both can make plays. In addition to the fact, you got Victorious Miller, who you talked about, 6'7" wing, Cam Reddish, 6'8" wing, Jaylen Brown, 6'6" wing. And so it's like, no matter what, you got that length. You got guys who have length, they got great defense, and they all can attack the basket and they can shoot from the perimeter. Like, that 2-3 spot can be dangerous, you know. But then at the same time, his bigs that he have in Wendell Carter Jr., Miles Turner, Rashard Holmes are all defensive bigs. And, you know, Miles Turner being a floor spacer. But these guys can, you know, take up some space, make up good ground, box out, get second chance opportunities. I think, and when it comes down, depending on the matchup, I think that, you know, he can kind of do pretty well with those guys in certain matchups because just the way he utilizes them. I do think they need probably something a little bit more consistent behind Wendell Carter besides Harrison Barnes. But, you know, and definitely John Henson should, I don't know if he's a coach or what.
John Henson.
What Keith see? Yeah, so like John Henson, that's just absolutely disgusting. I don't know what it is about signing guys that should be coaches in Seattle, but they seem like they got a trend with that. So we can talk about that one. You know, if they could bring in a guy, you know, like you know, somebody different, you know, probably make a deal or whatever. But I think that's something they want to address just in case you do run as far as the Memphis Grizzlies or the Denver Nuggets or something to kind of have an additional offset. But we'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, that's why I got them number 3.
Okay. All right. Number 2, it's on you. Call up.
Okay, I have for my number 2 spot I'm just playing the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs are number 2. Shout out to the San Antonio Spurs, man. And the reason why I want to give a special shout out to San Antonio Spurs, they have been by far the most consistent team in the league. When I mean by consistent, I mean roster construction. I mean, I think if you go down, he's had Musa Cisse for 4 years. He's had Makalu for 4 years. He's had Cam Johnson for 3 years. Trey Jones, Lonnie Walker, Vassell, Murray. Like, these guys have been some of the longest tenured players in the league as far as keeping guys the entire time and just constantly running them back. And they've improved drastically, which is why I think this is one of the best defensive teams. I think, honestly, this is the best defensive team in the league. And I think that I'm putting them right up there with Memphis as far as a good defense team, which is why I think both of those two are the top 2 teams in the league, respectively. I just think, like I said, one of those things that they have such balanced scoring. And, of course, you know, Lonnie Walker has, you know, we know he can give you 24. He's 24, Evan Mobley, 20. You know, Murray, you know, he's 14, 11, you know, Collins. So they're kind of guys that they play inside out, Collins, Mobley, and Lonnie Walker that, you know, they kind of that score. And he does it great. You know, I mean, I think he's a great scorer. However, I just think, you know, they still, what they had in DeMar DeRozan year 1, I think they still kind of need a guy like that in year 5. And I just think that's the only thing that, you know, is my only concern. I think if they just had one more guy like that guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would change the absolute game for this team if they would. But it's hard to add a guy like that and keep your depth, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll just be interesting to see if and when they're going to ride this out, or they might just go, you know, push in some of their chips this last season and bring an additional guy in. But I just think, like I said, what they do defensively, you know, they added, I like Charles Badekio Badako, I think he's really good. I like him. Him and Musa Cisse kind of man in the middle behind Mobley. You know, Adeem Bonard's getting there. You know, I like what they're doing. They kind of have a nice blend of players, kind of like the old Spurs, but also like some what the Toronto Raptors did. Guys from different cultures and backgrounds, and Makalu, Bona, you know, Cisse, Doc. I kind of liked it. You know, so I like what they're building, man. I like what they built. One of my favorite teams, honestly, in my league. No bias, like for real. Much respect. So that's why I got them number 2, man.
Okay. Okay. I agree with number two. I agree with number two. Um, I think I agree also. I think um to see this team really kind of take that next step, I feel like maybe a deal for, a guy they can rely on. Like you said, DeRozan was a big help for them that year one. It was a go-to guy, a true go-to guy. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
something that they may be missing still at this point. So it'll be interesting with this team to see, what's in play maybe over the next, like the same guy, Bona and Cisse right here, um, to
Mm-hmm.
see what's in play, over the next few days and see if they decide to make a move or not. It's some big names out there on the market, so wouldn't be surprised to see them, somewhat into that mix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay. Look, I gotta take a quick break.
Okay.
If you want to do number one while I take my break,
Uh, yeah, sure. Why
if
not?
you want, you can do that. And then I only gotta take like a minute and a half break, 2 minute break.
I got
But
you.
I'll be back. And then we'll go
Cool.
straight to the
Yeah,
trade
we finna talk
section.
about these damn trades. I'm finna
Okay.
spend as little time as possible about these damn Grizzlies. Grizzlies are number one.
Hold on.
Y'all know why the Grizzlies number one. They done won 2 consecutive championships. Uh, Great balance scoring on the perimeter, great balance and perimeter defense, great balance scoring in the front court and interior defense. When Jaren and Wiseman, John Zach Levine, Moses Moody is different maker being that 3-and-D type of small forward. Grizzlies just balanced around the league. Uh, got some of the best shooters on the game as far as and Zach and you know, Moody and Kispert. They're just a deep team. So I mean, they added Kelly Oubre in all season, another guy who can barrel, knock down an open three, get him a little bit more length at that small forward position. So I mean, Grizzlies just overall, man, just got a good team. So shout out to the Grizzlies, man, and hopefully we can somebody in the league can stop them from having a three-peat. It'd be interesting to see if that happens. And right now, they like minus 150 to win the championship this year. So clearly they the favorites. So
All right,
we'll
man.
see what's up. Okay, I'm done.
Cool, cool.
Hmm.
All right, man. So we done got our top 10 done. Top 10 for after week one. Now we got a little special section coming up where we're gonna open the eyes of some. We got some trades that's out there right now.
Hmm.
Actually, one particular deal. We know
Oh shit, the trades.
Zion is on the block. We've heard a lot of ramblings over the last um, couple days with Zion and the Pelicans not necessarily, um, seeing eye to eye on things. And the Pelicans
Hmm.
feel like in order for them to, try to win a title in this last season, they feel like they want to move on from they best player. Um,
Hmm.
so how you want to do this, Carla? Do you want to kind of talk about the
You go
details of the
first.
deal? And
You can go first, and I'll just follow up with you. You can go first,
okay.
cause I'm frustrated.
So the rumor deal that we have in place or that we've heard is Zion Williamson potentially going to the Detroit Pistons. Zion Williamson potentially going to the Detroit Pistons for. Let me go to the deal right quick. All right, Zion going to the Pistons. Harrison Ingram, Frank Kaminsky for Chet Holmgren, the former number one overall pick in 2022, and Killian Hayes, their point guard, that's out of France. Um, right now, we see that this deal will essentially make Chet a power forward or some sort. next to Jackson Hayes, and I'm assuming Killian Hayes will play next to Kyrie Irving in this scenario. But I think, um, like we talked about early in the show, I don't think Zion is the issue right now for the New Orleans Pelicans. They won a title with him in his first season when they had Bi, and I also just think the Pelicans had a tall four. They had KP at one point, and decided to move on from him. And I think this is kind of counterproductive in what they originally had when they had KP and Zion. And they, not to say KP was always playing the four because Zion was their four, but it could have been a lot of moments where KP could have been in there at the four spot and made them a dangerous team. So if this trade, is going through, or potentially will go through today, I think this do set the Pistons back a little. I think it's going to put a heavier load on Kyrie Irving to score more. I'm just not sure what's in Killian Hayes' bag right now. He did have 42 points against Cleveland this season. But I do know Chet's a baller too. I'm just not sure, post scoring right now. I don't know. The Pelicans have never been known to be a crazy post scoring team. They've been a good team scoring in the paint, but that's traditionally off drives. And I think this team has also brought out a lot of shooting, which I feel like they're trying to, play out with Joe Harris, McDermott, Nunn being one of their better shooters too. So very interested to see how this team plays out moving forward. What you think, Carl, on this trade?
I think these folks have lost their damn mind because I think they desperate. I think desperate times call for desperate measures. Here's the reality of the whole damn thing. Zion Williamson has not been utilized to the best of his ability. And what I mean by that is having Zion as a power forward is a strength, not a weakness. Him being 6'6" has nothing to do with his versatility that he has because he's strong, he's athletic, he's probably the best. He is probably one of the best barreling big men in the league, especially from a user team outside of like Giannis in the whole league. And the thing about it is he gets the animation dunks, whatever it can be. The thing about it is the best way to utilize Zion and his skill set is, in my opinion, is in the pick and roll consistently. Because you got to pick your poison. But not only him being the roller, but him also being the person that's calm and run the sets. Because he has that type of versatility. And versus just one-on-one isolation ball where you can just kind of sag off of him and boom, If he runs to the wall, he not going to, pick up a dribble and then try to drive, I mean, he got amazing lateral quickness. So it's all about the way he's been utilized. But adding Chet and moving him at the power forward, to your point, this is about reading the rules. Okay? KP was a center only when he was with the New Orleans Pelicans. He's a 4-5 with the Knicks. Why is that? What does it say in the rules there's about positions?
That you can only play the player at the position based on their player card, but if you see that a player is eligible to play a different position or multiple positions based on, what you find online on, reputable sites, then you can make that change.
Absolutely. So take advantage of what's being put in place. If you would have kept KP at the time that you did, because we went from KP to Van Fleet to Kyrie for Brandon Ingram, when initially kept KP, if you wanted to trade BI for Kyrie, you could have. And then still had KP and Zion. So when Zion come out, guess where KP could go, Dez? To power forward. So now there will be no Zion with Chet at power forward. But now when Chet comes out the game, I guess he could play the 5. But Chet ain't Zion. Nobody is Zion. And you're still not replacing Brandon Ingram. Yep. Who you're doing it with Tim Hardaway, not Tim Hardaway, Doug McDermott and Chris Dunn. It's just not I don't think this is going to make the Pelicans better. However, if you're watching this broadcast, who wins that trade? The New Orleans Pelicans or the Detroit Pistons? Who wins that deal? I think the Detroit Pistons come out better in that deal than the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah. I mean, you basically got B.I. and Zion teaming back up again. You know, and this roster, like this Pistons roster, they'll have Harrison Ingram coming off the bench. Their weakness will be right now the point guard position, but they also have Josh Christopher. They have Andrew Wiggins coming off the bench right now. They got Boucher, which is he's still a solid player. He's coming from Charlotte. And then they'll have to run with, Scala and Montrezl Harrell. But they also get Cap name back in that deal too. So, and, I mean, you got B.I. and Zion together. Them two won a title together. So, honestly, I mean, being in the East, that'll be a solid pickup for them. I think they get the best player in the deal overall in Zion. I say that.
Yeah, that's just the reality of it, man. So.
We had four in here watching, but nobody said anything about their thoughts on it. So, but I'm sure we'll hear something, soon within the next couple of days or so. But you got anything else, Carl, before we head out?
Nah, that's it, big dog.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. We'll be back. We'll be back. Probably within the next week or two, something like that.
We ain't talking about them damn Bulls. I don't even want to talk about that shit.
We ain't even gonna go through that deal.
Hell no.
Right now. We're not even gonna go over that deal. We just wanted to talk about this deal because he said I'll be glad Chet out the East. That's what Solo said.
Man, Solo better.
Solo.
I'm so disappointed.
But we'll holler back at y'all. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Last season, we'll have some more thoughts later. Talk about some of my league's greatest trades, worst trades, best signings, worst signings. We'll have a lot going on in the next few weeks, so we'll hit y'all back, man.
All right, man. Y'all be good.